Hi guys, welcome back to August Love Story, the channel. I'm Artieka.
And I'm Tommy.
And today we are reviewing Put a Ring on It, Season 2, Episode 2. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. And I guess we can just pick up where last episode left off.
All right.
So we had a cliffhanger of sorts where we were trying to find out if Darian was going to do a second date with Kai. And the answer was yes.
Yes. We saw that coming though.
We sure did, because we saw Kai in the previews for the next episode.
Right.
They could have at least not done that if they wanted it to actually be a true cliffhanger. But let's just hope Darian don't die.
Right, man. Because she was ready to kill that man.
Ready.
Man.
Wasn't a word. All right. So I guess we can start out with Jessica and Eric. So, to start off, Dr. Nicole told everyone that they were going to be going on dates and house calls this week, which we only had one technical house call.
Yeah.
But the ladies were going out on the dates. So we opened up with Jessica and Eric, where Eric was looking for the board cutter. I'm like, a cutting board, brother? And Jessica came downstairs dressed for her date. Her date's name was Randy. And Randon, but he said Randy at the door.
Nah, he said
did?
Randon.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I wrote Randy every time.
Eric said Randy.
That's what it was. I'm like, somebody said
Who?
Randy.
Randon. Randy?
Randy at the door. So Randon shows up at the house and calls himself Mr. Steal Your Girl.
He did?
He did.
In the house?
At the house. Like in his package of him walking up to the house. You know how they describe themselves? Yeah. He described himself as Mr. Steal Your Girl.
I missed all of that, man.
I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Not Trey Songz.
I was like, all right, fella.
So Randon knocked on the door. Eric closed the door in his face. Eventually, let him in, came upstairs. They all had a little short exchange, and then they went out on the date. When they got there, Randon said that he ordered her a margarita. I was like, where was she at when the ordering was commenced?
I don't know.
That was just a little bit strange. Like, y'all rolled together.
Right.
So they sat down and they basically discussed her relationship with Eric and essentially how she didn't trust him. And I was like, I know that it's weird going out on a date with someone while in a relationship, but I don't really feel like y'all need to be spending a lot of time discussing y'all relationship.
Yeah, I felt that same way. I was like, shouldn't you be trying to get to know her a little bit better and not her relationship?
Exactly.
But on the flip side, I do understand that they understand that they're in a relationship. So, and it's quite all right for them to talk about it because that's who they are at that time.
But I feel like it gives a little bit of ammunition to the other person to bring out the best qualities in themselves that are unlike the person that they are in a relationship with. So you get these representatives that are giving you everything that you want. And it's like, girl, it's not going to be like that when, or guy, it's not going to be like that when you, if you leave your person for this person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you should, because I don't think people need to jump from relationship to relationship.
Right.
I think you need some time to be by yourself, but it's just they can put on the show for everything. So
you have to peel back the layers of an onion, and it's not gonna happen at one time.
Ogres are like onions.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, you're gonna put your best foot forward, your best face on. And then as time goes on, you start to peel back those layers, you start to notice things and stuff like that. And that's when you got to make the decision. Am I comfortable with what I'm seeing?
Right.
So, but, yeah, he asked a bunch of questions about their relationship, he started talking about how Jessica was like how she wanted to move, like wanted to get married, wanted to have children and all these things. But the trust, like you said, the trust thing, she figured out basically through their conversation, she has trust issues with Eric, which we all see that it makes sense that you have trust issues with this guy.
Yeah.
Because he got with you because he was cheating on somebody else.
He said he was dating like 3 girls at the same time. And even when she had the conversation with Randon. When she had the conversation with Randon, she said that if you ask Eric, they've been together for 3 years. But if you ask her, it's been 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could see you being fuzzy on a first date because me and you, granted, we are on the same page about it, but me and you make jokes about what the first date actually was. But like, it's not a whole year off.
Right.
So it's just like, girl, what are we doing here? But I can see Eric being the type of person that does not make you feel safe and secure in the relationship, that everything is going great and that I should trust you.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that he acted on his first date.
Now, before we go any further, Randon said that he, at the age of 32, he had never been in love.
That was actually what I was about to say.
Was it? Beat you to the punch. He had never been in love, never had a girlfriend. And I was sitting there wondering, like, why tell her this on the first date?
So, okay. I feel like once you fall in love as an adult, you question all the other times you were in love in the past.
Yeah.
And you're like, was I really in love or was it just an infatuation? However, the girlfriend part is like,
right.
What?
Right. Maybe you, like, it's possible because like some people, you know, you think about it, how many girlfriend and boyfriends have people really had?
I haven't had a ton of boyfriends, but I dated.
I definitely dated a lot of chicks, but it's like I ain't have like a ton of, like, I count on one hand how many girlfriends I had.
But you were also a person that had long, drawn out, dramatic relationships.
Okay.
I mean, not saying anything negative about it, but that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like some people are like a serial monogamous. Some people are dating a lot, but he calls himself Mr. Steal Your Girl. So he's out here, but he's not out here being their boyfriend.
Yeah, he doing something. So,
and so essentially when we got back to the group setting, Jessica and Eric have agreed that they don't trust each other. Yeah. And I was like, well, look at us making revelations in the second episode about not trusting our spouse or our significant other, because I can't say spouse. And Jessica said that she wasn't going to go on a second date with Randon, mostly because he was 32 and had never had a girlfriend. Yeah. She was like, that just doesn't sound like something I want to get myself into. So next up, we get to Alexia and Darion. Alexia's date is a gentleman by the name of Chris, who he called himself an entrepreneur in the athletic industry, and I'm like, trainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before her date arrived, they were talking about the possibility of her date knowing him.
Yeah.
So when
he said, I give him autograph.
Darion thinks a lot more highly of himself than he should.
Any other night. That's something still.
And I don't want to say that he should, like, you're nobody, because you are somebody.
Nah, he definitely
like
somebody.
We're all somebody. And
they're a very known group. They're just not known by a lot of people now.
Apparently. But so when Chris comes in and they sit down and have a conversation, she was like, do you know him? He was like, I have never seen that man before a day in my life. I was like, that would have been my answer, because when I first saw him, I was like, I have no idea who this man is. Tommy was like, nah, he looked like the dude from Field Mob. And I'm like,
yep,
I know who Field Mob is by song,
yeah,
but could not tell you anybody's name or what they look like. So Alexia and Darian go to the batting cages and they just have a conversation about
Alexia and Chris.
I'm sorry, yes. Alexia and Chris go to the batting cages and they kind of have a conversation about that 14 on and off years, which apparently they met each other when she was 19 or 20 in college. She went overseas for 6 years and came back home, and they kind of picked up where they left off in the meantime, in between time. But basically, they've never had a conversation about marriage. And I was like, well, I wonder who's at fault for never having had this conversation about marriage, if that's the step that you want to take.
Right.
Because I didn't say you had to marry me.
Yeah.
But when we were dating, and even when we moved in with each other, I definitely made a declaration that I was not going to be your live-in girlfriend forever. And I gave an expiration date on that. It wasn't like I said, you need to marry me by September 1st of so-and-so year, but it's just like, this isn't what I'm planning on doing for the rest of my life. I feel like I should be able to say I want to get married, and the person that I am with should either have the same goals as me, or we shouldn't be together as far as this relationship.
Well, I feel like their off and on-ness is what prolonged the, the I want to get married to you. And it makes sense to me, like 14 years, but y'all been off and on for 14 years. No, he ain't gonna want to marry you because he knows that you're there. Because he can leave, come right back. Like it's every time the comeback, it's not that I gotta get to know you again. We're gonna pick up where we left off at, and I'm gonna treat you that way. You know,
and it's honestly just going back to what's familiar.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the issue. When you go back to what's familiar doesn't have to change anything because they're familiar. You fall back into a routine of whatever it is. Because you look at it like, okay, they met when she was 19 or 20. You're in college until you're like 22, right? 22. Let's say she immediately went to go play basketball overseas, and she does that for 6 years. She's 28. Well, now she's, I think, 34. So that's been 6 years of her back in the States, back in a relationship with you, apparently. 6 years, we should know something.
Right.
So
I'm with you on that. 6 years, you definitely should know something, but it's,
That's if my math is mathing.
Yeah.
So he asked her a lot of questions about her, but not about the relationship. And I did like that about Chris. Like, he wanted to get to know the person, not things about her relationship, because ultimately her relationship does not matter to him, because if it was an imperfect, intact relationship, she wouldn't be on a date with him.
Yeah.
So when they get back to the group setting, Alexia said that Chris was, he looked good and that he listened. And that was one thing that she liked about him. And they were able to listen to each other, that she and Darian were able to actually sit up and talk and listen to each other after the date. She was like, they sat up until like 4 o'clock in the morning, and they had not done that in a really long time, and like had a conversation. So it seems as if something is breaking through for them. Right. Like, second episode, like Jessica and Eric had a revelation. Alexia and Darian had a revelation. And sometimes you just got to get back to I don't want to say the heart of where your relationship is, but like being able to communicate and have conversations with each other. Like, life keeps you from doing those things. Like, you and I stayed up recently till like 3 o'clock in the morning talking until you fell asleep. But we hadn't done that in a long time because we have so many other moving parts that you just can't stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and talk like you used to. And so like, it's nice to be able to go back and do that. But I do hope that she was able to articulate things that she needs in these conversations, and not just let's sit up and reminisce about remember when, because that doesn't really get us anywhere. You got anything else for them?
She is not going on a second date with Chris.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what her reason was.
Yeah, I don't either.
And so next up we have, or last but not least, we have LaRonda and Sean. LaRonda and Sean started off with a home visit from Dr. Nicole, and they discussed finances. And he said that the income conversations with LaRonda make him feel inferior. And I can definitely see that. I don't know that his is a dollar amount inferiority or a ebbs and flows of income inferiority.
It's the flows of the income that like has him feeling inferior, because it's like she has steady income. So we know that, you know, from her income, it's going to be, this is what we got. Yeah,
he was like, the budget conversations like irritate him or make him, what was the word he used? I think he said it makes him feel sad or something like that. Because she can tell you exactly how much money she is going to make because her checks are consistent. Yeah. And then he can't because he's an entertainer, and it's based on how many shows he does.
He books and stuff like that.
And then if you couple in the pandemic with it, where was he out here working?
Right.
Nowhere.
But it's one of those things I was talking about on our podcast when we was talking about fatherhood. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, man, the man has to be this tough guy and has to provide. You know, he dug a little bit deeper when he started talking about his dad. Mm-hmm. And the situation with him seeing how his dad treated his mom, but his dad wasn't emotionally there, but he was a provider.
He referred to him as an absent provider.
Yeah.
Like, my dad came in, gave my mama his paycheck, but that's it. Like, he wasn't there. And he doesn't want to do those same things. And I can see that being an issue.
But the biggest thing was he knows that his job is to provide for this woman, and not being able to is beating him up inside, because she's able to provide for them, you know, in certain instances. And I get where he's coming from about it. I mean, I would take a different approach to it, but I get where, you know.
What would your approach be?
I wouldn't care.
I think that he has LaRonda there and she's willing to be there, and she doesn't look at it from the same lens as him, where she's looking at it like, I have enough to be the stability for you to chase your dreams. You should chase your dreams. I want you, not the money that you can provide. I can take care of myself. I don't have to have you do that. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I should be the one taking care of you and us. So, basically he just said he can't get over the situation with his dad. LaRonda then gets ready for her date, and her date is John. He is a singer-songwriter. And I wrote down that he said, peace and blessings, brother. Oh, bless you. And
peace and blessings, brother.
I was like,
they both was like, peace and blessings.
Okay. John is gonna be some stand-up material.
He is.
So essentially, LaRonda and John go out on a date to the Bailey wine cellar, and they discuss her goals and plans for life. And she said marriage and kids are at the top of her list, which I get. You want to get married, you want to have these kids, you just need the man to marry you. Mm-hmm. They play a game of throwing and catching grapes in their mouths. I was like,
I liked it because it was a very spontaneous thing to do. And, you know, you have to be that. You have to have fun and be able to have fun in the moment.
I'm not fun then, huh? I'm a different type of fun.
Yeah.
What else did I write? So at the end of the date, He sang for her. And then we pan back to Sean at the house, and he's working out and he's calling his friend EJ. Yeah. And apparently he got physically ill at the thought of LaRonda being out with another man.
Yeah. I was like, man, he got some issues, boy, that he needs to work through.
Yeah. So in their group setting, LaRonda said that she had a great time and that John opened up all the doors for her. Sean said he got sick while she was gone on her date and that he acknowledges that he doesn't want to turn into his dad. So he's going to have to actively work towards that. And LaRonda said something that troubled Dr. Nicole and, of course, everyone else. Her saying that she did not want to go on another date with John because of how she thinks it would make Sean feel.
And everybody was like, including me, was like, but you're going to have to do it again.
Every single week.
Right.
Or every other week, something like that.
They was like, that's the premise of the whole thing.
You agreed to this.
But one thing that bothered me about it was last week she said that's something that she wouldn't do. If she liked the person and wanted to go out on another day with a person, she would go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. And Sean told her, good thing you're not making the decision for me.
Right.
And then she turns around and makes
the same decision
that he made. So they're being safety for each other. And basically, I'm not going to do this because of you.
I did want to say, I think if the thought of losing her makes him physically sick that way, he needs to get comfortable with himself. Because a person not being in your life, physically making you sick or physically causing you not to be able to do something means that you need this person to have a life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, you have to get comfortable with yourself. Because before I met you, I was cool with being by myself. You know what I'm saying?
The re-meet.
Yeah, the re-meet. Like I got real comfortable with myself and I started to learn how to love myself and how to learn me. You know, and I feel like when you know yourself and know, you know, what you can and can't do and what you want and don't want to do, it's a way to actually know how to love someone else, you know? And so that was one of the things that stood out to me with him, just because like her going on a date shouldn't make you sick. You should be, you shouldn't be comfortable with it because that's your girl. But
if it was going to make you sick, it should have never gotten to this point.
Right. It never should have got to this point. But that's your girl and it shouldn't be a comfortable feeling. But, you know, you should understand because you signed up for it. But I think he needs to do a lot of soul searching and, you know, get a little bit more comfortable with himself.
He definitely needs to talk to a third party about his dad issues. Because those are, I don't want to say screaming the loudest, but screaming the loudest. His issues with not wanting to become his dad is being a major block for him moving forward in a relationship with LaRonda, as well as him trying to navigate his money situation with his career.
Yeah.
And I get it. Being a creative pays great sometimes, and then other times it pays absolutely nothing. Like I've been in a position where like you get these big checks and then you don't hear from anybody for months at a time, and it's like it's kind of hard to say, oh, I'm gonna budget this check when you don't know where your next one is coming from.
No, yeah.
So you definitely have to like figure that side of things out. But once you own, you own. But how many people get on?
Exactly.
So you have to either resolve that my wife is going to be this, or my woman, because I can't say wife. My woman is going to be the stability in this relationship, or I'm going to do something differently so that I can be the stability in this relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like this season is panning out to be good so far.
Yeah, so far it's been more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned with the aspect that this season is people that have been in the spotlight because apparently Jessica is an IG girl.
Yeah.
Eric, of course, was a professional football player. Darion was in field I don't know if Field Mob is still together. He a rapper. And Alexia played ball. So like the only person that has a traditional regular job is LaRonda. Mm-hmm. So it's just like these aren't everyday average regular people this time around like they were last season. So I think it's interesting to see this dynamic, but I'm excited to see the rest of this season unfold. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, if you haven't already, yet again, please subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, comment down below, let us know what you think, and give this video a thumbs up.